A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ English. Welcome to today's Hindu news analysis session. I am Soumya, wishing all of you a very happy Dashera, huge prosperity and happiness on the festive season to each one of my dear aspirant. So together, you and I will be looking at today's important news events. So although there is no official release of the Hindu newspaper, the Delhi edition, but it's a good opportunity for us to analyze all the important events that have been making news since yesterday. Okay, so let me guide you quickly through all the important news events that are right now making the headlines. Very good morning, Ramu. Very good morning, Sam. So happy to see you. Okay, so today I have taken about 6 articles for you. Okay, so these are the main headlines for the day. Let's start going with the first one. And the first one is talking about how the Indian government, the union government at the center, has announced 11,440 crore rupees. It is a mission that is meant to make India self-sufficient, Atmanirbhar, in the production, processing of pulses. Very good morning, Dipesh. Pulses we all know, whether you talk about tur, urad, gram pulses, all these are the poor man's protein. India is one country that is quite known for experiencing a massive protein malnutrition. Not only are Indians a victim of hidden hunger, but protein deficiency is very common in the country, partly because majority communities are vegetarian communities. So there are countries like India and Nepal where it's quite common for people to experience protein hunger. And with that in mind, Indian government has decided to solve the paradox that although India is one of the largest producers and consumers of pulses, we still depend on imports to a major extent. Hence comes the mission for Atmanirbharta, the mission for self-sufficiency in pulses 2025-2026. So by 2030, the government now wants to increase the production of various pulses in India to about 350 lakh ton, so that we reduce our import dependence and our farmers also receive a fair income. So this is the news right now, and let's see how the mission will help us. So this new mission of Atmanirbharta in pulse production will be implemented over a 6-year period that starts now in 2025. Definitely the target year is 2030. Now 2030 anyway is a very important target. We all know that sustainable development goals, all 17 SDGs, need to be met by 2030. Some of them are already very crucial, like the first one, zero hunger achievement. Second one, zero poverty. Or 6 and 7, clean drinking water, sanitation. 13, climate mitigation. Anyway, by 2030, we are committed to achieve all these goals. Plus, by 2030, the Indian government has also very proudly announced that we will be able to reduce our carbon emission by 45% of GDP. Anyway, 2030 is a very important year for us. And today, one more target. So the mission on Atmanirbharta in pulses also has the target year of 2030. Now, why it becomes important is because there is a massive investment here. About 11,000 crore rupees has been transferred. We know that India is the largest producer as well as consumer of pulses, but pulses are unaffordable to a majority of lower income group families and people below poverty line. Pulses are difficult to procure. They are difficult to afford. The food basket, therefore, is very protein deficit. But in general, if you look at India's rising middle class, increasing income, increasing standard of living, across urban India, pulse consumption has increased a lot. Which means although domestic production is very high, India is the largest producer. But because urban India is consuming too much pulse, domestic production is not enough. There is always a supply gap. And that's the reason India needs to import 20% pulses from outside. And this is something the government is unhappy about. The government feels we cannot be import dependent in this area because we need to maximize production. Remember back in the 1960s when India experienced a shortage of wheat and rice. That was when the Green Revolution came. And immediately India became self-sufficient. Not only self-sufficient, a key exporter of wheat. Today, the same time has come. It is almost like a revolution in pulse production because we cannot afford to import 20% of our pulse. If we have the largest consumption, we need to meet that. And therefore, the mission of Atmanirbharta in pulses as a 6-year intensive program was announced yesterday by the government. Very good morning, Vikash and Sudesh. The mission is going to adopt a very comprehensive strategy. The purpose is to expand research. The purpose is to expand better quality seed adoption, to expand the total area under cultivation through pulses. Now, there is another catch here. We also know that India leads the world when it comes to wheat and rice production. But rice production is also a matter of climate concern. If you already know, just remember how we often discuss that rice production, paddy cultivation is a matter of ecology concern. Not only does rice cultivation produce methane emission, good amount of methane emission, but also rice emission in states of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh has every year also somewhere been responsible to the declining air quality because majority of farmers are choosing to burn the rice stubble, the leftover of the paddy straw. So rice has come under ethical concern because of environmental footprint. Here also diverting extra land into pulses. And by giving more minimum support price to farmers on pulse cultivation, the government seeks to address both the challenges. One, protein deficiency among people. Second, Atmanirbharta, no more import dependence. And third, the ecological footprint of pulses is not as bad as rice at all. In fact, pulses are known to enrich the soil quality. There are certain kind of pulses like leguminous pulses, rhizobiomes. They are known to encourage nitrous fertilization of the soil. They release nitrous oxide. They are actually good because they absorb atmospheric nitrogen and utilize it into soil. Therefore, they keep enriching the soil. And that's the purpose of the area, to expand pulse production in terms of geographical area, and then apart from that also give price stability to farmers. Here comes the question of minimum support price, a very important topic, my dear, for GS paper 3. Food production, food security, climate mitigation. We all know that the government gives a minimum support price. Since Green Revolution in India, majority of farmers got MSP on rice, wheat, oil. Hardly they were getting any MSP on special kind of leguminous pulses or vegetable or millets. They never got MSP on that. So naturally farmers will produce only those crops for which they are getting a good minimum support price. You might wonder, what is minimum support price? Minimum support price is that fixed price at which the government agencies like the Food Corporation of India, they will purchase some amount of crop, some amount of production from the farmers every harvest cycle. And the price that the government buys it from farmers is a very good price. It is usually set above the market price. The purpose is to make sure the farmers do not experience a loss. So, in case the farmers are not getting profit, in case their products were not sold, the government will purchase from them at a fixed MSP. And this price will not fluctuate. The government is not only giving this to farmers, it is also giving it to tribals. You might have heard about the agency TriFed that markets various products made by the tribals. The government is giving MSP on that also. Again, the purpose is to make sure tribal income doesn't suffer. Yes, very good, Dipesh. Like yesterday, the government has increased the MSP on few Rabi crops as well. Rabi crops, winter crops. Wheat, barley, mustard, rapeseed, absolutely. Well pointed out. Very good morning, dear Pavan and Shikant. Okay? And Vikash, yes. So yes, that is minimum support price. The purpose is to promote farmers' income. So this is also one agenda under Atmanirbhar mission in pulse production. Then the emphasis will be given specially on developing latest variety of pulses. Pulses who have greater production. Pulses who are climate resilient and pulses which are pest resilient. So newer varieties of pulses that are easy to grow, easy to cultivate, that are resistant to various kind of pest attacks, as well as they can also withstand climate extremities. Many locations in India right now are under trial to see which soil suits which pulse variety the most. Now we know India actually leads, especially when it comes to pulses like tur. So what we need to do is to further promote leguminous pulses, like you have the chickpea or the cowpea or the kidney beans. These are known to enrich soil. So therefore the government will give focus on that. The improved variety of pulse seed will be made available to farmers. About 126 lakh quintals will be distributed to Indian farmers. The purpose is to cover 370 lakh hectares of area under pulse cultivation by 2030. Very ambitious program, I should say. The mission also seeks to expand the entire area under pulse cultivation by adding 35 lakh extra acres of land into it. So we are targeting the land that has been now become infertile. We know that with repeated monocropping, I'm sure everybody has heard about monocropping. Have you heard about monocropping? Yes. What is monocropping? After Green Revolution, most of the states, most of the farmers in India grow only one kind of crop, like rice or wheat. What's the purpose? The purpose is to get more commercial benefit from that, to maximize production. But that's a dangerous strategy because monocropping or only growing single variety of crop in a large area of land always leads to declining soil fertility. This is against the traditional Indian farming practice of polyculture, mixed farming. Earlier, the farmers, the local villagers used to grow majority of crops by interspacing them. One cereal, one pulse, one vegetable, like that. How would that help you? It helps in fertilizing the soil automatically. It's very good for the soil health. But today we are into commercial monocropping, and that's a disaster for the climate. Soil fertility after 2-3 years becomes very bad. Plus, to keep on growing one crop, the farmers are using extensive amount of pesticide and fertilizer. Chemicals are leached into the soil. That again is dangerous for public health as well as soil health. It leads to a word that is very common in GS paper 3, capillary action. What is capillary action? Salt starts coming back to the top surface of the soil. It leads to saltification, alkalization of soil. Then your soil is not fertile anymore. Keep investing in fertilizer, keep putting pesticide, there is no end to it. That's the danger of monoculture. Yes, Dipesh, absolutely. Yes, Rajat. Ramu says, absolutely. He has defined monoculture beautifully. It's about growing a single crop on the same piece of land year after another. Very good. Absolutely. And this is quite against India's traditional farming practice. So today, by introducing more pulse cultivation, the government is also utilizing those lands which have been destroyed because of monoculture. Years of rice, years of wheat farming has made these soils alkaline. Now they will be reclaimed for pulse cultivation. The government will promote intercropping, mixed farming, polyculture, grow many crops together. And this will also lead to crop diversification. Yes, the farmers will grow now more newer variety of pulses. 88 lakh seed kits will be available to the farmer free of cost to try and experiment which pulse works for their land. Another major feature of this mission is to give maximum procurement. The government will buy maximum amount of tur, urad and masoor dal under minimum support price, fixed price scheme from these farmers. The farmers will not have any loss, no matter what the market condition is. This resonates with the welfare policy of the government. This is known as the PM Asha scheme. Very important GS paper 2. PM Asha scheme. Pradhan Mantri Annadata Aay Sanrakshan Abhiyan. The purpose is to provide MSP on a majority of crops grown by farmers, so that farmer income is assured. Under PM Asha, another focus is to also make fertilizers and organic pesticides available to farmers at a cheaper price. The third intention is to ensure food security. So PM Asha is important here. Okay, so this is the agenda under Atmanirbhar Pulse mission. The agenda is by 2030, we want to expand 350 acres of lakh acres of additional land into only pulse cultivation and to give MSP to farmers for tur, urad, masoor, various kind of crops. Very good morning, Bulbul. Okay, now let's have a look at the question. Consider the following statements regarding India's efforts towards Atmanirbharta, self-reliance in pulse cultivation. 1. India is the largest producer and consumer of pulses in the world. But we still are dependent on imports to meet our domestic demand. 2. The government has launched National Food Security Mission and Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana to boost pulse production. And 3. Import of pulse in India is completely banned in order to promote self-sufficiency. Absolutely, Dipesh. The first one to answer, you are absolutely right. Let's break the question down. The first statement is very, very solid. It's valid. We all know India is the largest producer and the largest consumer of pulse. But still we are in a problem because we know that about 20% of total pulse is imported in India. And that is something we want to solve. So we cannot say the third statement is correct. Imports are not banned. India is importing them. But we want to become self-reliant by 2030. And for that, we have PM Asha. For that, we have the MSP scheme. For that, we have the National Food Security Mission and Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, which is a multi-dimensional scheme to take care of agricultural growth and development. So very well answered. Yes, absolutely. Dipesh, Rajat, Tanmoy, Rajneesh, Bulbul, Pavan. A is one is valid, two is valid, so A is the right answer. Absolutely, three is invalid, so we can eliminate the bottom two. So always use elimination technique, it improves your speed. Thank you so much. Ramu is also sharing a very important insight, and I would want to announce that PM Kisan is to finance support to farmers, okay, for crop insurance against natural calamities. Then we have Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. Yes, to provide agriculture irrigation access. Absolutely. Then you have PM Kusum also. So all these are important farmer schemes for your UPSC exam. Even if you know 4 such schemes, it is very good. Thank you so much for that comment, Ramu. And yes, that's the right answer, everyone. Well done. Second article is about India creating another free trade agreement, this time called as the TEPA, the TEPA agreement. The TEPA agreement. So Mr. Piyush Goyal has very happily announced in the morning that as India is experiencing the 50% tariff attack from America, and America itself is in a problem right now. The last article for the day will talk exactly about that. If you have seen news from yesterday, I mean, I know today is a festival, so a lot of people might not be able to follow the recent news updates. But in case you have been seeing, you might have seen how the US government has closed down. Last night, suddenly there was a headline, breaking news that US government has stopped. It has stopped working, it has closed. We will also discuss about that. So at a time when America cannot give us any guarantee of improving the tariff structure, at a time when India is busy negotiating with countries like China, Japan, Australia, EU countries, here comes another achievement, a free trade agreement with 4 European countries known as TEPA. So what is TEPA and how will TEPA help us? Very important GS paper 3, because we are talking about free trade agreement. Export surplus, also important for GS paper 2 because this is international relations. So India and some countries from the European region such as Switzerland, Norway, Liechtenstein and Iceland. Just remember the names: Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, Liechtenstein. Okay, India has signed a free trade agreement with all these countries, these 4 countries. This is a very ambitious free trade agreement and now it is already implemented from today. This is known as the TEPA agreement. The India EFTA Economic Partnership Agreement. That's called TEPA. TEPA is important because it is about an investment of US dollars 100 billion across a period of 15 years. So remember, one agenda of the TEPA is an investment of US $100 billion over a period of 15 years. Then it will also create about 1 million direct jobs in India. So, a wonderful step that the Indian government has taken to protect its economic interest. Always remember TEPA. TEPA is with four countries of Europe: Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Iceland, Norway. You can create a small acronym to remember for the prelims exams, such as you can say it is SINL or any other acronym that you like. You will remember the names. The purpose is to create 1 million direct jobs in India and an investment of about 100 billion US dollar over a period of 15 years. How will this help India? We know American markets are getting blocked for us. Indian goods will not be sold successfully in American markets right now, except a few. Because the tariff is very high. If there is so much tariff imposed by America, why will American consumers buy expensive Indian products? Therefore, that is a lost market now. It is impacting certain export segments of India like gems and jewelry, electronic goods, pharmaceuticals, apparel, footwear. Yes, we are getting harmed over there. In order to solve that problem, India has signed this TEPA agreement, and now across these four countries, Switzerland, Norway, Liechtenstein, Iceland, many Indian goods will find a new export market, because these are also countries with a rising economy. Here also the purchasing power of consumers is quite high. So when Indian products will reach this market, it will give us that extra edge, that extra export surplus. So whether it is textile or pharmaceutical or electronic engineering goods, now the economies of these four European countries are open to India. Especially we will benefit in the agri-product area, agriculture products. That was also a problem between India and America. President Trump wanted India to open India's agriculture to cheap imports from America, especially products like corn and dairy products. India said, no, we can't do that. We will not risk the income of our farmers, never. That was also a big deadlock between the two. But today, as four countries of Europe, leading countries, the top economies, have opened up their country for Indian exports, that means India could once again eye a much better export income. India will also get tariff concession across entire market of these four countries. At the same time, four economies will also get major concessions in Indian market. The areas of bilateral agreement include IT, artificial intelligence, accountancy, education, medical services, tourism, audio visual services. So it's a very diverse area right now. The article says it is almost like a power of five framework that we are looking at. And what is the power of five framework? In India, India has the capacity to supply talent, research, IT services, skilled workers. These are welcome to work in the four countries of these TAPA agreement. Similarly, Switzerland has an excellent finance structure. It has an excellent precision goods manufacturing sector, which India will benefit from. At the same time, with Norway, India is sharing clean energy transition technologies. India is also sharing maritime services. And through Iceland, it is about not only clean technology, but also geothermal energy, digital solution. And when it comes to Liechtenstein, it is about high value specialized engineering. So all these countries have their own areas of excellence, which now India will benefit from. Much better training for Indian workers, better job opportunities, better exchange at the university level through technical education. At the same time, also in textiles and pharmaceuticals. Recently, you also know how President Trump has announced 100% tariff on patented medicines, patented licensed pharmaceuticals. Although I told you very clearly the difference between generic drugs and patented drugs. I also explained in detail that day compulsory licensing. But still, if anybody has any confusion, my dear, please let me know. I will repeat this for you in detail. Do let me know. It's important for you to be clear in these concepts. So because India doesn't really manufacture patented licensed drugs, this 100% tariff will not impact us very badly. Because in India, we have a major market for generic drugs. We are more into generic drug manufacturing. But still, it will impact in a little way. It will. So now opening up newer economic markets across Europe will mean wonders for India. But there are some challenges that we have to work upon. For example, one challenge is market size is not comparable. The entire population of these four countries is quite equal to the population of Mumbai. You look at the gap in the population and the size of consumers. India has a very big market. India is a populous country, whereas these four countries taken together cannot match the size and scale of domestic market of Mumbai itself. So that's a problem. No problem. Very good morning, Chandrakant. That's a problem. Second problem is European countries have a very high standard. Now, if you remember, when I was explaining you, just last month, UK India Free Trade Agreement. Remember, I had spoken about one important thing, and I think two people, if I remember correctly, it was Dipesh and I think it was Saurav, I think, who also commented on that. I clearly remember. I was discussing India UK Trade Agreement, Free Trade Agreement. I said that one problem is that in Europe, there is a very high fine on breaking environmental protocols and safety hygiene protocols. Remember, you also told me, both of you, that yes, it is about 50% tax that they will impose. If any product in India is manufactured in any process that leads to higher carbon emission, then that will be taxed in Europe. Because European market is very strict about its standards, manufacturing standards, packaging standards. They don't want any polluted or any carbon intensive process behind the manufacturing of goods. They do not want any product or any packaging to defeat their environmental protocols, hygiene, health protocols. And that's where Indian goods always face a struggle. Because in India, the protocols of environment protection and health protection are not the same like America and EU. They are quite easy. But Europe is very strict. So one problem will be that India's medium, small industries, all these products will have to follow very strict environmental compliance and health and hygiene compliance when they sell their products in these markets. So India needs upgradation there. Much better training that India's medium and small industries need, entrepreneurs need, workers need to manufacture goods in such a process that the process is clean and the product also meets the standards of European consumers and market protocols. Otherwise, it will be rejected. Okay, that's a problem. And then another problem is that there is a good amount of money that needs to be put into monitoring by the Indian government so that we meet the demands of European strict compliance protocols. Now, India also has to create another balance. Right now, we are dealing with the UK Free Trade Agreement. It got caught up in a little problem because of all these protocol mismatches. But we are looking at that. Besides, India is also trying to sort out the problem with America, the high tariff regime. India is also looking at creating a free trade agreement with other EU countries apart from these four TEPA countries. So, in general, it is about balancing. We are looking for new markets, we know that. We are trying to diversify, we know that. All of this is a defense mechanism for India to keep its export surplus intact. Otherwise, if we do not work hard, if we do not look for new markets, American president's tariff policy is only going to harm us. This is important, and at the same time, it's a very delicate balance. So, from this article, I want you to remember the TEPA, very important, the free trade agreement between the four countries of Switzerland, Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Norway. I also want you to remember what's the purpose. The purpose is to create 1 million jobs in India, direct jobs, and to invest US dollar 100 billion in the trade between the two countries. Major areas will be agriculture goods, textiles, pharmaceuticals, electronic goods. And how will it help India? By opening up the markets of these four countries to Indian export products. But there is a problem. We still need to learn how to follow the strict climate, environment, hygiene, and health protocols before we can successfully sell our products into foreign markets. Remember that. Now, the question Rajat and Dipesh have answered already. Consider the following statements regarding India EFTA Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement called TEPA. 1. It is the first free trade agreement signed by India that includes a firm investment commitment apart from trade provisions. And yes, I'll give you a hint there. That's a true one, because generally with other countries, India only signs a free trade agreement. A free trade agreement means no import duties on products that are exchanged and traded between 2-3 countries. But this time, actually, this TEPA is also about an investment commitment. So not just are these countries looking at a free bilateral trade, but also direct investment into each other's sectors like education, AI, okay, ICT, maritime sector, green energy. So yes, it is about direct investment commitment. So that's correct. Two, the agreement is between India and European Free Trade Association countries like Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, Liechtenstein. And three, under TEPA, the EFTA bloc has committed to invest $100 billion in India in the next 5 years, aimed at creating 1 million direct jobs. So Rajat, Rajneesh, Ramu, Dipesh, everyone has answered. And yes, the answer absolutely is A. You're right. Because in 5 years, no country can invest 100 billion US dollars. It's impossible. Even under TEPA, the target is to invest this much money in 15 years. How can we invest so much money in 5 years? That's impractical. Okay, so that's why A is the right answer. Well done, my dear. Now, the next article is an observation by National Crime Records Bureau. I showed you yesterday in the Hindu that according to the latest NCRB report, now a lot of students might be asking that why do we need to know the data from NCRB, National Crime Records Bureau? Why? It's very important. Why is it important? Because in GS paper 2, you get direct questions about the reasons behind increasing suicide rate among young Indian women. You might get a question about whether children in India are safe and just elucidate upon the increasing crimes against children. Three, you might get a question on crimes against scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Fourth, when you write essay, especially issue-based essay, there are many topics which discuss about how, despite so much women empowerment, still Indian women are not safe. Or another question might come and say, which are the problem areas for Indian society right now? So for all these, essay paper, GS paper, you need to know that NCRB data is important. You should know at least 5 points: crime against women, children, scheduled tribe, scheduled caste and OBC, and all these vulnerable communities, and the crimes against PWD. You should also know which states have a higher rate of crime. We have spoken about it earlier. You should know the NCRB latest data. At least 5 data you should know from NCRB. So that's the article right now. If yesterday we spoke about 45% crimes against children are kidnapping and abduction, then today NCRB has released the data on dowry deaths. Again, a very important social problem in India. According to the data of NCRB, dowry related crimes have registered a 14% increase in 2023, with more than 15,000 cases recorded across the country, leading to about 6,100 deaths throughout the year. Now, this is shattering. This is a heartbreaking news because we are talking about PM Ujjwala, PM Matritva Vandana, Mahila Samman Nidhi scheme. We are talking about Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. We often talk about how by 2030, India aims to achieve a very balanced sex ratio for women. Yesterday, I have also released a detailed video about why are Indian women missing from the workforce. The reasons behind low female labor force participation rate in India. In that also, I have proudly said how the Indian government has, by its hard work, created a total 42% representation of Indian women in the workforce. But all this looks like a fake reality when you see this reality. And it is so shocking that in 2025, as we talk about gender empowerment, here we are saying across 2023, more than 6,000 women died because of dowry related crimes. That's the latest report of NCRB. The report also says that about 15,489 cases were registered under the Dowry Prohibition Act 2023. It is a major increase from 2022. It's a major increase, more than 2,500 cases. Uttar Pradesh has accounted for the highest number of such cases under this act, the Dowry Prohibition Act. Initially, 1961, amended 2023. Followed by Bihar, then followed by Karnataka. So you must remember which states are on the top here. You must also remember that the latest data says 15,489 cases in 2023, a major increase from 2022. And that is the sad reality we are discussing here. And let me see the comment. Absolutely, Dipesh. Every type of crime is on the rise. I so agree. Absolutely. Yes, yes, that is another thing. Now, yesterday, that's a very important point, Dipesh. Thank you for sharing that, my dear. Yesterday, in the NCRB data, it also said that too many crimes against children under the POCSO Act have been registered in 2024. But the government responded by saying maybe awareness has increased. And that's the reason why more people are complaining to the police. This also is a reason behind increasing number of cases registered. Yes, I agree that could also be the reality. A similar thing happened in Kerala just 2 weeks before. I think I was discussing with you in the Hindu that in Kerala also the same thing was happening. There were increasing cases of crimes. And then suddenly the government responded by saying, this is happening because you are reporting too much now, not because the general number of crimes are increasing. So maybe that is the reality. We don't know. But what we really know is that unfortunately, even if the data is a little overrepresenting, but still we know that dowry deaths continue in India. And what is most disturbing is that every year the number of cases that are being registered are on the rise. So that is a very sad reality. Now there are 13 states and union territories like West Bengal, Arunachal, Goa, Ladakh, Sikkim, which have reported zero dowry cases. But this needs a more detailed investigation. Because dowry cases could be related to culture, it could be related to the level of education, it could be related to women employment, it could be related to early marriage rates. So there are too many things that need investigation before we finally assume that yes, it is UP, Bihar, Karnataka, Rajasthan which have high number of cases and there are certain states which have zero. There is more investigation. So as a UPSC aspirant, we cannot presume and say, okay, 100% there are zero cases. Maybe not. Maybe the complaints were not enough. Maybe the policing and monitoring is lacking in these UTs. And if it is related to culture, we need to investigate. Perhaps there are cultural practices in these areas that promote women empowerment more. These could be the reasons behind the disparity, but as of now, we will know the data, and in future, we will try to also investigate the various reasons behind this reality. Yes, absolutely. UP, Bihar, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, unfortunately, they have seen a higher number of cases across various crimes. I agree. Now, the next article is about how the Ministry of Home Affairs. Now, be very clear about it. Many of my students are confused. They think it is Ministry of Finance. It is not. It is not. I am talking about FCRA. Okay. I am talking about FCRA. What is FCRA? Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. A lot of people presume that FCRA is implemented by the Ministry of Finance. Actually, not. Since it is in the nature of internal security, it is administered by the Ministry of Home Affairs. MHA is responsible for implementing the FCRA, the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. So, under the Ministry of Home Affairs, there has been a new notice that is issued to the NGOs, non-governmental organizations across India, that they have to submit their FCRA new applications within 4 months of the applications expiring. So if an NGO is found to still be operational despite its FCRA certificate being expired, then the license can be cancelled and they can face punishment. What is the purpose and what is FCRA? Now, FCRA, that stands for Foreign Control Regulation Act, is a provision by the government that was initially introduced in 1976 during the emergency period. The purpose was to make sure that foreign money, foreign funding, foreign financing is not becoming a matter of internal security threat to India. That no other country through these NGOs is sending money to India for smuggling, drugs, sex trafficking, arms, ammunition, and weapons. Because then all these would have threatened India's security. Hence, the government enacted this FCRA. It was revised in 2010, and now the act also became more strong, such as you cannot import any foreign money into the country unless you give a clarity to the government that the money is used for legitimate purpose. The money is being used for some positive impact, like education, like creating skills among people, medical aid, food security, all that is fine. Climate, disaster management, all that is okay. But if the reason is not legitimate and an organization, an NGO is just taking foreign money, then that is a matter of concern. Hence come the importance of FCRA 2010. The purpose is to ensure India's sovereignty, security, or national interest is not spoilt, it is not influenced by foreign influence. It applies to individuals, associations, organizations who receive foreign contributions. What is the purpose? I told you. If foreign money is coming into India, it has to be ensured that it is used properly with the right purpose in mind. Second, to make sure that foreigners do not start influencing Indian politics. Remember when the Kisan Andolan was happening and when global activists like Greta Thunberg or pop singers and entertainment stars like Rihanna, they had commented on it, then Indian government, many political parties were very upset about it. They said nobody has a right to actually talk about and interfere in India's internal issues. So here also the purpose of FCRA is that any foreign money should not influence India's politics. Because if the government doesn't control, perhaps the money can be used for political lobbying, to purchase votes, vote bank politics, or any kind of other corruption. Hence, the FCRA only monitors that any foreign contribution or money should be used for legitimate purpose only. Ultimately, we need to protect India's interest. So all the NGOs will now have to do a compulsory registration. Okay, and if any NGO has a cultural, religious, economic, any kind of objective, then they can use foreign money provided they declare to the government what is the purpose and they keep renewing their license every 5 to 6 years. The registration is valid only for 5 years and you have to re-register 4 months before the expiry period. All the NGOs have to open a unique, exclusive, dedicated account which is called FCRA account in the State Bank of India, New Delhi, so that the government can monitor. And all the receipt and utilization has to be reported annually. For what purpose have you used the money? Accounts have to be audited by a registered chartered accountant. And the banks must also report all the foreign fund receipts to the Ministry of Home Affairs. Once again, in 2022, the FCRA rules were revised. What was the purpose? To raise the annual limit on the amount of money received from outside to rupees 10 lakh without giving a notice to the Ministry of Home Affairs. Earlier it was rupees 1 lakh. Now it has been revised to rupees 10 lakh. Then further safeguards have been created to avoid any misuse of the funds that are coming from outside. Okay, now let's have a look at the question. Before that, some comment has come. Yes, absolutely, Ramu. That's a very beautiful comment, very valid. FCRA regulates accepting and utilization of foreign contributions, foreign money, foreign finance by individuals, association, companies, so that this money is not misused. It doesn't compromise our security and safety. And the Act also establishes punishments for non-compliance. Thank you so much, Ramu. What a valid comment. Absolutely. Now the question. Consider the following statements regarding FCRA 2010. 1. FCRA registration is mandatory for NGOs in India to legally receive foreign contribution. 2. Act is administered by the Ministry of Finance. 3. The 2020 amendment to FCRA reduced the limit of administrative expense for NGOs from 50 to 20% of foreign funds received. Dipesh, Aspirant, Rajat, they say that answer is C. So it is. Absolutely, the first and the third statements are valid. Why the second is wrong? Because FCRA is not administered by the Ministry of Finance. It is done through the Ministry of Home Affairs. Many students have a confusion here. Let's clarify. Since it's a matter of internal security and sovereignty, the monitoring body is MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs, not the Ministry of Finance. Rest all the statements are valid. Well done, really well done. And now, absolutely, Ramu, correct. Very well answered there. Rajneesh as well and Ali as well. Well answered here. Now we talk about another article, and this is a global news, of course. We all know what is going on in Gaza. We all know the crisis of Palestine right now. We saw how 2 days before, President Trump has created a 20-point peace program. A program that should be implemented by both Israel and Palestine. This will bring peace to the region after many years. Who will monitor and administer the program implementation? President Trump himself. So, for the first time, an American president is going to actively interfere in the geopolitical problem between two foreign countries. The 20-point program is very clear. Israel says if Hamas is ready to go for disarmament, if it is ready to surrender its weapons, and it stops attacking and releases all the Israeli hostages, then Israel also will create a systematic withdrawal from the West Gaza. It will allow for a Palestinian government to create some establishment over there. At the same time, Hamas has still not given its reply. It is still talking to people, it is still monitoring, it is still analyzing, and yet we are to see how it shapes out. There are many Arabic countries who are willing to accept the offer, but there are some others like Qatar and Iran who are very skeptical. India right now has said yes, it looks like a good plan. So let's see what happens to the 20-point plan. It is still in the news right now. At the same time, another development happened. Now, yesterday, news said that Israel attacked, intercepted many aid ships that were coming to Gaza. Aid ships. The purpose of these aid ships was to bring humanitarian help like food, medicine, supplements to the hungry, injured people in Gaza, women and children. But according to the reports, these all were attacked by Israel. Some of them were also kept in custody by Israel. So, what exactly were these ships about? Now, this is about a very interesting and yet important international organization which is known as the Global Sumud Flotilla. Please remember the name. It is in the news, it might come in the prelims. Global Sumud Flotilla. You can also say Global Samad Flotilla. The word has been derived from an Arabic word. It means resilience and strength. So, what is this group? Global Samad Flotilla or Sumud Flotilla. This group is a group of activists, human rights activists across the world, who are protesting against the war of Israel and Palestine, who are completely against Israel. And they believe that Israel has done humanitarian crisis and genocide in the area of Gaza. It was created in July 2025 as a response to the constant war in Gaza and the constant deprivation, hunger, and killings in Gaza. Sometimes this group is also known as Global Freedom Flotilla. Their main intention is to deliver food and medicine to the victims of war in the Gaza area. It is an international civil society organization. Please understand, it has no relationship with United Nations, no relationship with UNICEF, UNESCO, nothing. It is an independent civil society organization like an NGO. It is led by like-minded individuals who believe that the war in Gaza has to stop now. They want to break all the barriers that Israel has created outside the Gaza Strip so that they can enter with help and medication and help the poor people in the region. The group has about 40 ships with 500 people participating across 44 countries. It makes it one of its own kind largest civilian-led group in the history of the world. Very important. Activists yesterday were sitting on these ships, and one of these activists was a very well-known figure. We just spoke about her 10 minutes before. Yes, she's the environmental activist Greta Thunberg. She was also in the ship. There was another famous person, Nelson Mandela's grandson, Mandela. He was also in the ship. So these two very famous human rights activists were a part of these vessels. But the reports are saying that Israeli Navy intercepted many of these boats. As soon as they were about to enter the Palestine region, the boats were caught by Israeli military. And almost 50 boats with 500 activists were carrying the humanitarian aid, but Israel has not allowed that. Now, this is nothing new because the Gaza region has been, the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, it has been blocked by Israel since 2007. It is not a new thing. Because of that, the residents in Gaza who are a victim of the war have been trapped in a situation where they cannot escape as such. Israel sometimes doesn't allow the entry of food, goods, and aid because it is all monitored by Israeli ministry. If you question Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu from Israel, he says these are fake news. because we have never stopped any UN aid or any other support coming to Gaza as such. We always support them. But the news says something completely different. And yesterday, as these boats were intercepted and caught, it is creating a massive furore in the world. There are countries like Spain, Portugal, who have rebelled. People have come on the roads and said that with what right did Israel stop the global flotilla group? These are humans who are working to help humans. There was no need for Israel to actually catch them and detain them. So that's making news right now. Let's have a look at the question on global Sumud flotilla. That one, it is an initiative, it is a civil society led maritime campaign aimed at breaking the blockage of Gaza and expressing unity with the Palestinian people. Two, the word sumud or samad in Arabic means resilience, strength, steadfastness. It symbolizes resistance against displacement and occupation. And three, the Global Sumud Flotilla is a military alliance formed under the United Nations to ensure free navigation in the East Mediterranean. So, which of these statements do you think are correct? Yes, which of these statements do you think are correct? Absolutely. Rajat, Dipesh, aspirant, Ali. Yes, A will be the correct answer. 3 is wrong. This group is not about United Nations backing. It is not about any other government. It is a civil society group, one of the largest of its own kind. Ultimately, in Arabic, it means strength against atrocity. And that's what these people are doing, created in 2025 to support the Palestinian people. Well answered. Now, the last article for the day has also been making the breaking news since yesterday. The news said US government has blocked. Very good, Rajneesh. US government has blocked. It is closed. How can a government be closed? I have never heard that before. Have you heard that before? Actually, we have. In the past, in US, similar crisis has happened many times. The US government indeed has been closed before also. And today also, there is a complete, you can say, Cold War that's going on between the Republicans, a party led by President Donald Trump, and the Democrats, the party led by the ex-president of America, Joe Biden. Both these political parties in America have erupted in a conflict. It is a conflict about ideology, about welfare programs. Because of that, the appropriation bill in the parliament could not be passed. And because the appropriation bill was not passed, the government now has no money to spend on majority of services. Citizens are worried because they will not be paid salaries. They are worried because they might be laid off at a massive scale. They are worried because right now nobody knows when the solution will come. For 24 hours are already over, and the US parliamentary government is completely closed right now. Only essential services like medical, defense are working. Rest, everything is closed. So, what's the controversy? We all know that the opposition parties in America, the Democrats and the Republicans, have a very different idea. Talking about the current government led by President Trump, the Republican Party, he is more of a thinker, a conservative, who says we should not spend too much on welfare policies. We should actually try to be more smart with our money. We cannot keep on giving people tax benefits. We cannot keep spending on medical insurance policies. We cannot keep on spending on welfare policies because we need to strengthen America's economy. So, therefore, we will not spend too much on welfare. In fact, let us only prefer privatization and market based economy. So, he has a very, very conservative mindset here. He doesn't want to spend at all on people and their welfare as such. On the other hand, becomes Democrat argument led by Joe Biden, who's now the key opposition party in America. These people believe that we need to improve our spending on healthcare. After all, America is a country which is leading the world in non-communicable diseases. Problems like drug abuse, teenage pregnancy, homelessness are common in America. So why should we not spend on healthcare and social welfare programs? There is the refugee problem. We need to settle that also. So we have to address problems like climate change, drugs, education, infrastructure, which needs government support. And we have to support on these. Therefore, we should give more subsidies to people. We should also spend on welfare schemes for our citizens. We should also spend more on regulating the condition of migrants and refugees. Simple, which is very, very against the policy of the current government of Republicans under Trump, President Trump. So, Democrats, Joe Biden's party also wants to spend more money under Affordable Care Act. Affordable Care Act is also known as Obamacare Act in the US. It is about providing people a cheap access to medicines and healthcare infrastructure. But the party of President Trump says it is unnecessary. It is too costly for the government to afford that. It leads to more people demanding welfare, and that we cannot afford today. We only need to earn more money so that our economy is afloat. Similarly, talking about climate and green energy, the party of Joe Biden, President Joe Biden's Democratic group, they want to invest billions of dollars in clean energy, climate projects, and carbon bond markets, green infrastructure, solar, hydro, geothermal. But at the same time, Republicans don't like that. They have stopped funding these initiatives ever since they came to power. They say that these are waste of money. These are all political agenda of the Democrats. We are not spending so much. At the same time, as Joe Biden's Democratic Party also wants to spend more in research, innovation, creating more social safety for citizens, cyber safety. It is the Republicans under President Trump who feels too much spending on non-essential programs is complete wastage, and I will not tolerate that, says President Trump. It will lead to debt and trade deficit. It will lead to a poor GDP growth, and I don't want that, he says. He says our economy has to run on market like it used to run earlier, and we do not want any kind of extra non-essential expenditure by the government. Already we are spending too much. Israel war, NATO. There is too much on the radar. We cannot spend more now. That's the conflict. Because of that, in the US Parliament, in the US Congress, annual appropriation bill, finance bill was not passed. Now, what is this bill? Appropriation bill, just like we say in India also, is the bill which needs to be ratified by the parliament before the government can use even a single dollar from the fund, the consolidated fund of the US. Without the permission, without the approval of the appropriation bill by US Congress, the government cannot spend public money. And because the bill has not been passed over this controversy, both the parties have refused to agree to a common agenda, leading to a shutdown. Today, only the essential services like military, medical infrastructure are working. All the non-essential services are closed. Many employees are on a furlough. It means many of them have been asked to go home, and they will be called back once the services resume. Some of them have been given half salary and asked to leave already. Some of them are scared maybe we are never called back and we lose our job, so they don't know exactly how will this result in. But right now it is making news across the world, especially at a time when America is busy negotiating with the 20-point peace program of Israel. America is busy consulting with the NATO countries about Ukraine's safety against Russia. We all know since yesterday Russia and Ukraine are still exchanging missiles. Yesterday also, Ukraine came under an attack by Russia. In fact, there is a concern about Ukraine's nuclear program. It has been closed for so many months now, and the International Atomic Energy Agency is scared that what if it leaks to any kind of radiation leakage or a damage, because nobody is monitoring the plant. So all these issues are there on the radar, and themselves America is experiencing this problem right now. So now I take your leave because all the articles are done. Once again, a very happy festival, happy Dashera to each one of you, my dear. May you get tremendous success and good health and excellent amount of, success and good luck comes your way. And now, before I leave, here's a quick reminder about the sale. The sale is ending tomorrow, that's 3rd of October. This is about the FastTrack batch. FastTrack because now there is hardly any time for UPSC 2026 exam. So if you want to avail the offer of the Dashera Dhamaka sale with us, you can actually type the code SPLIVE on your screen, and you will have access to courses with the price as low as 7499 only. Then if you're preparing for 2027 or 28, we have batches for that also. These are all GS Foundation courses with a massive discount on optionals as well. Okay, so they are in English, Hindi, and in English, you know that. So in case you are interested, please reach out to us, fill up the form, or you can just use this code and get the benefit of the sale. Plus, there is another part of the offer of the Dashera Dhamaka, which is about October batches that are now starting. Yes, we have the morning, evening, both batch. So whatever works for you, you can enroll in that. The prices are easy and it could be a good opportunity. Okay, so you can do that. Yes, absolutely, Dipesh. Only 248 days are left for the prelims. That's such a wonderful and eye-opening statement you have made. Yes, the time is limited, but we have unlimited potential to work hard. So let's tap on that and let's do wonders. Okay, so God bless all of you, and I'll see you tomorrow, mate. Thank you.